Is there any public comment on items not on today's agenda? Okay, seeing none, let us just roll right into this. Gina Miller, looks like you've got a couple items on here. Do you want to kick this off with a cooperative agreement between Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services and Missoula City County Board of Health?
Yeah, thanks. I would love to. Thanks, Dave. So this cooperative agreement is something that you guys see each year. This is the mechanism by which the Food and Consumer Safety section of DPHHS outlines and pretty thoroughly describes what the Board of Health's obligations are under the contract and what the state department's obligations are, mostly in terms of providing some statewide resources and reimbursement. So each year, licensed establishments in Missoula County, which include, of course, restaurants, hotels, vacation rentals, swimming pools, trailer courts, body art establishments, pay a license fee. Those are variable based on several factors that I can get into if you're interested. But the local health department completing the routine inspections and any complaint investigation or training and education opportunities for these licensed establishments are reimbursed just a portion of that full license fee. This cooperative agreement outlines how that's done, and it outlines the total inspection percentage that needs to be reached in order to get across the board full reimbursement for every license paid in the county. So, you know, I'm happy to talk about the cooperative agreement in whatever detail the BCC may be interested in. I will also just recognize that this year's cooperative agreement is different because COVID, everything's different. It has an Appendix C, which was enacted last year as well in the 2020 agreement as well by an addendum that came through, I believe, in May or June of 2020. And that outlined sort of an alternative track that would still allow the counties doing a whole bunch of work with licensed establishments to be reimbursed, even if that routine inspection, that at least one routine ad hoc inspection a year was not completed. So for various reasons last year, including a portion of which we were under a stay-at-home order, and then, you know, pretty strictly practicing physical distancing and remote meetings and education and training opportunities, we did not complete anywhere near the number of routine inspections that we typically do. However, the team, the licensed establishment team, currently 5 full-time positions at the county here at the Environmental Health, was fully reassigned to the incident response. And they were the folks that were looking at the governor's COVID rules and the local COVID rules and interpreting them for folks and fielding complaints and educating people and putting out guidance documents. So they were, dare I say, incredibly busy, at least as busy as we typically are when we're conducting these routine inspections. So you'll notice, of course, there's two items on the agenda today for action for signature. They're very related, but that Appendix C in the draft cooperative agreement very much relates to the next agenda item. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about the cooperative agreement for 2021.
Okay, so Gina, do we want to take these together, 1 and 2?
We sure can. There was a little discussion about putting them as one agenda item or 2, but they are incredibly closely related. If you'd like me just to describe the origins of the addendum, I can do that.
Why don't you go ahead and do that? Okay.
So the addendum is actually something that is unique to Missoula County, and it may be born out of the fact that I'm a very much a language person, and I felt that the Appendix C in the cooperative agreement, which frankly is the draft that's offered to all of the jurisdictions in Montana, didn't do a very specific or clear job explaining what will happen in 2021, which is a transition year of sorts, kind of out of COVID. So what Appendix C does was give jurisdictions an either or option. So if there was a quarter of the year, it's done by quarters, where a local jurisdiction had COVID rules in place, then we would have the option to submit a quarterly summary that describes the whole host of activities we did for compliance and education and outreach with our licensed establishment community, rather than completing the typical number of routine inspections for that quarter. However, what Appendix C didn't do is describe what would happen in an instance where COVID restrictions were lifted in the middle of a quarter. So what I couldn't tell what a county's option would be at that point, if we would then be sort of beholden to completing all of our routine inspections for that quarter, or if we would be expected to submit a COVID work summary and a prorated number of inspections. Further, the cooperative agreement is very much based on completing 90% of routine inspections throughout the calendar year. So it's kind of okay if you don't do them in 4 equal chunks throughout these quarters, but it was not clear in the original draft cooperative agreement provided to us what that total number of inspections would be if a county was engaging with that Appendix C option. I'm not doing a very elegant job of explaining this, but what Appendix C could have been read to say that if at any point during 2021 COVID restrictions were lifted or a travel restriction was lifted, we didn't have a travel restriction, but it's in there, it would default back to the original agreement, which would mean this team that's been doing a whole bunch of work for the first 4 and 5 months of this year with COVID would then be obligated to spend 7 or 8 months, not enough time, getting 90% of all routine inspections completed. We really need 12 months to do that if that's the baseline we're going toward. So the addendum really spells out what our ultimate obligation is at the end of 2021, and it is prorated. So I looked over that. I looked over the number of routine inspections we've done this year. We are getting back into doing in-person routine inspections. It's going very well. And that number is doable for this team, even in light of the fact that they are assigned to the response, and a portion of their time is being used responding to complaints and working through education, outreach, event review type tasks. So we are able, specific to our county, because May 11th perhaps will be the date by which we don't have any requirements in place, we are able to provide a COVID summary for Q2, and then we'll be responsible for 50% of the typical load of routine inspections half the year. And we're on track to do that and more.
Okay, it sounds like there is a logic behind both of these items. So any other questions from the commission?
No, I do see how they're very separate though. Maybe we should take them individually.
It doesn't matter. You can move both items 1 and 2,
Okay.
unless you plan on voting against one of them.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to move items 1 and 2.
I'll second that, and thanks for all the thorough explanation, Gina, and thanks for all your guys' hard work over the last year and 4 or 5 months or whatever it's been. It seems like it's been forever. Thank you.
I'll pass that on to the team.
Please.
They're amazing.
Please do.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, Gina.
Thanks, folks. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Okay, the next 3 items pertain to the fair. So, Billy, do you want to present these to us, items 3, 4, and 5?
Sure. The first item is to approve a professional service agreement with Tracy Lopez for the amount of $3,150. Tracy's long connected to the music scene here in Missoula. She's perfect for what we want to do this year with a barn dance at the fair every night. So she is advising and consulting with us on those initiatives, recruiting talent, and then she's going to provide oversight for the commercial building throughout the fair to ensure that it's a family-friendly event. And we would like to see how this goes and then offer an extension for 2 additional years.
I'm embarrassed to ask, but what are the dates for the fair this year, Billy? Sorry.
August 11th through the 15th.
Thank you. I mean, I should know this, but okay.
Do you want me to go right into the other contract as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the second, I believe, is our service agreement with the Rhinoceros to provide alcohol beverage services during the fair for 21, 22, and 23, and to become the preferred vendor for such services at the fairgrounds. We did an RFP process for this, and the Rhinoceros was really wonderful in the ideas he brought forward, not just for the fair, but other ideas here at the fairgrounds. And this has no cost to the county. The Rhinoceros pays 35% of its gross sales from the fair to us, and that is usually anywhere from $24,000 to $30,000 revenue for us. And the last contract we have is with Austin Singley. He's the new barrelman for the rodeo for $6,000, and he provides entertainment services during the bulls and the rodeo, and he's key to our rodeo being different every single night, so we can have fairgoers coming back as repeat customers instead of just one-offs. The rodeo will be different every single night. And that's it.
Great.
Okay.
Really excited for the fair, Billy.
So are we. We had a great time this weekend with the college rodeo. So we were able to test our new ticketing software, just saving us $10,000 to $12,000. Works beautifully. We were able to see how it's going to work for the fair.
Good. How did it go?
Very well. We had wonderful weather for the college rodeo, which typically is not the case.
How many colleges competed or
I'm
represented?
not sure the number of colleges, but it was a finals for the circuit. So, and of course, it was the same day as graduation. So there was a lot going on in Missoula that day.
Wow.
So any questions on entertainment coordination, alcohol, or barrels?
I would move we put alcohol in a barrel and get coordinated on its consumption.
We are looking for volunteers to jump into the barrel and be hit by a bull. Don't tell Erica.
Yeah.
Not could be anyone on this call. So, but I would I would move that we take on we approve items 3, 4, and 5.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
I
Billy.
wanted to also chime in and let you guys know that tonight after work is the first in-person Midtown Mixer, and it's at the fairgrounds in the historic.
All right. Way to
Yeah.
go for you.
So
Great.
for you guys to come out and
Congratulations.
join us.
Okay. Hopefully not our first super spreader event at the fairgrounds. So, okay, thank you for that. All right, moving right along. Kyla, we have an appointment to the Affordable Housing Citizen Oversight Committee. This is exciting.
Yes, so this is the appointment that the commissioners get on the committee. And let me just give you a little bit of background. There was 33 applicant interviews that were done between March 10th and April 14th to a subcommittee of 3 city council members and then, of course, Commissioner Slotnick. And then the interview committee held a debrief and made appointment recommendations to the different appointing bodies. So the motion before you is to request appoint Christine Litgig to a 3-year term of June 1st to May 31st, 2024 to the new Affordable Housing Citizen Committee. And I do have Emily on the line if you have any questions.
Great. Can I speak to this just a bit?
Of course.
Yeah, just because I was part of these interviews and such an impressive collection of people from Missoula County who were willing to volunteer their time to be on this board. I think the most competitive board that I've ever had any involvement with. And the slots for the board were kind of preordained, and that we're looking for people who represented specific subject matter expertise, who had specific subject matter expertise, and people who had specific lived experience, and people who were just general community members. And Christine fit in the community member category. She lived in Missoula for a very long time, had tons of experience with housing as a business person and as a resident, and is now at a point in her life where she could dedicate a whole bunch of time and energy toward this, and demonstrated a true fluency in the issue in her interviews, and has tons of commitment towards it, and felt really good about putting her forward as our representative on this board.
Very good. Well, thanks, Josh, for participating in all of that.
Yeah, and one last little bit to add, it was exceptionally well organized. So to the Emily, I've been making jokes about that. We have the competent Jasons at the county, and they have the overachieving Emilys, and this was one of the overachieving Emilys who just did an amazing job pulling this thing together, and it was really well done.
Martin.
Hey, good morning. I'm just wondering, this advisory committee is part of the city's affordable housing trust fund, correct?
Yep.
I'm just wondering if the county will tap, when you guys are writing an affordable housing policy, I believe, as well, aren't you? And will that kind of tie into this advisory committee as well?
I would say, sorry about the feedback. I don't know what's going on there. We'll give it another shot. So anything we dream up, and we're in the process of dreaming it up, will complement the city's efforts. Absolutely. To what that looks like, I think it's a bit premature to say, but we're really interested in complementing efforts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly right. Emily, anything that you'd like to add?
Hi, I would just echo what's been said and just share an appreciation, Commissioner Slotnick, for your time. I know that it was a heavy lift. And for the council members and for Commissioner Slotnick's time and dedication, it was very clear that this was a priority to all of them to really find members who were dedicated. And it was very challenging to find out of the 33 members. I think any of the 33 members would have been excellent members of this committee. So we have a real spoil of dedicated members in our community who we can tap for other projects and other opportunities. So we're very lucky in that regard, and just feel really lucky to have so many dedicated partners. So we're really excited to get started on this work.
So Emily or Kyla, has Christine been notified?
Yeah, I've reached out to Christine just to let her know about the process that we're in. That's not confirmed until it's confirmed. And then we'll do the next steps. So she knows where we are in the process.
Great, thank you.
Well, how about we get with the program of confirming? So
I'm happy to confirm this, and I motion to request that the board appoint Christine Littig to a 3-year term.
I'll second that.
Very good. Any further discussion on appointing Christine? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks for all your
Emily.
good work, Kyla and Emily.
Yeah. Okay. So ends our action items. Correspondence. We have a letter of support for a grant to conduct a countywide food assessment. This is simply ratifying. We had a deadline to get this letter out the door last week. This is on behalf of CFAC, and we signed that, so we are noticing it today. Any comments or questions on this?
Oh, just to add, this is a USDA grant. They're really competitive, and they're also fairly lucrative. And this money would cover a countywide food assessment. So that's looking at who's producing food, who's eating it, where are people buying it, what obstacles are they facing, and this would yield a bunch of data that would really inform any of our efforts going forward on how best to address these issues. So really hope that CFAC gets the money and does the work, as we in government will really be able to make great use of the information.
When would we find out? Or when would CFAC find out?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I'm guessing it's probably a multi-month kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So that has already been signed and is out the door. Next, I believe this is probably Dory's item, the Sale of lots. I love the title for that.
So cryptic.
I think I know the lot that we're talking about, but Dory, fill us in.
Yeah, thank you. So, commissioners, you may recall a number of months ago, I discussed 3 lots that Missoula County took via tax deeds a number of years ago, 30 to 40 years ago. And they've just been sitting in our, I guess, property inventory. And so in looking through the lots that we own that we aren't using, these seemed ones worth bringing forward to see if there was potential for selling them. So we had appraisals conducted, and I initially had some appraisals done in 2016. For various reasons, it didn't happen. When we were getting some other appraisals done recently with Craig Cosina, we added these in to get new updated appraisals. And so that's what we did. I marketed these 3 lots, and primarily, especially the 2 town lots, I can tell I got a significant number of calls just from the signs, basic for sale signs, and they were on Craigslist. So I had a lot of calls on all 3 from private parties and from realtors. I sent them out the information. We are selling these lots, and I've worked pretty closely with John Hart, who, as you probably know, is on vacation and off the grid, he says. So clarified to anyone that was interested that they would be sold via quitclaim deed, and that they needed to do their own due diligence in, the zoning and all the permitting that they would need to do, and of course the slope requirements. So the offers, the way I did it and my idea was to put this out here, see what, we got. If the commission then decided you have the opportunity to not sell them, you have the opportunity to take one of the offers, we could list them. So you're not under any requirements, but at least now have some more information. So offers were due on Friday at 5 o'clock. So what I received is 2 offers on 218 Westview, which is the lot that you had some emails on from Dave Paoli. I have one offer on Northview and one offer out in Clinton on Hill Road. So the idea of bringing this forward is a discussion. Is there some procedural questions still unanswered that John and I have talked about and decided, let's see what we get before spending too much, looking at the what ifs. So what the offers are much significantly lower, less than, I guess, 1/10 of the, if I have that right, of the appraisal price. It seems to me the appraisal didn't potentially for the, yeah.
1/10 on all of them, or 1/10 of what was the price?
Let me just show. So 218 Westview had a market value of 80,000. We have 2 offers at 5,000.
Would any of those offers be from the neighbors?
Yes.
Mr. Paoli?
Yes, Dave offered 5,000, and so did, if y'all know Brad and Adina Rowe. Brad Rowe has built some properties, he's actually worked security, was a firefighter, worked security at the airport, but they've done some development. So
I will say that I drove out there, and I would be, maybe it's buildable. I'd be utterly shocked. It is about as steep a slope as you can imagine dropping off the roadway there.
That's great that you drove out there. So Dory, why do you think the appraisal on this super steep slope was so high then? Do you think the appraiser didn't take that into account?
Well, he referred to the steep slope, but I don't know that, I can't tell. I haven't talked to him. Did he not really look at the sort of city rules on slope? And I don't know that. It
So
seems like
what are the city rules on slope, and how do those rules affect the buildability of this lot?
25, and I don't know the date of this, so 25% slope is the maximum slope.
And what's the slope of this space?
Well, that's up to debate on who you ask. Brad Rowe had a surveyor go out, and so it's around 40%. It varies. Of course, there's
well
not.
over 25.
Yeah.
So let me.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
What Brad has done, and he doesn't know. That's why he has a $5,000 off on it too. He has some ideas of what you could do, and has talked quite a bit with the neighbor. Like if you bring in fill, he brought an excavator over to look at it. He doesn't know if any of this is possible, and I understand why not. The city, until they have an actual plan, really couldn't give them a yes or no. You would have to do some significant work to make it buildable, but the neighbor did do that. So
yeah, and I think that's part of the I think that's part of Mr. Paoli's concern, is the amount of work that went into creating the adjacent lot to make it buildable. Required a good bit of modification of the slope, which in the eyes of some is aesthetically displeasing. I don't even know if you could engineer something on this particular site because of the degree of slope. I guess the question before us, and I would think that we're not going to want to, well, we can't take any action today anyway, but see what John Hart also has to say. But in a case like this, if the offers are as low as they are, this lot on Westview is adjacent to a city park.
And that's where I was headed. I was headed right there.
And for $5,000, it's maybe more hassle than it's worth, and maybe the higher and best use would be just an addition to city parkland, perhaps.
Dave, that's exactly where I was going with this. That the money's so small, the engineering so big, the effect on the neighborhood is so big. Let's talk seriously about just giving this to the city to add to that park.
Well, could I
Yeah,
finish? I kind of, because I think there's some issues whether you can do that or not if you have an offer. But so let me.
I thought we have the discretion to deny all offers.
There weren't a whole lot of requirements around this.
Right, but denying an offer is different than giving away county property. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but I wouldn't jump down. I would ask you not to jump to that until John's back and we've really had time to go through this.
Sure.
We can definitely do that.
That's all I'm asking.
Hold that thought, but I guess what would be interesting to know is, can we, I guess the upshot would be deny the offer and subsequently just transfer it as we would any other parcel to the city.
So I think we're, so on Northview, Brad Rowe also put an offer on that one. That one probably had more interest. It's a fairly
What's the address?
337 Northview. It's off of 39th before you would get to like Patty Creek Market. So its issue has a little access. It's you probably need an easement from the neighbor. But it also looks like the neighbor's encroaching on it a little bit. It is likewise adjacent to City Park. So the appraisal on that came in, the market value was $85,000. The Rose offered $6,000. They likewise have had surveyor and excavator. You know, they've done spent some money to see, but clearly they also realize they may end up at the same spot as far as not being able to do it. The lot at the property on Hill Road. I don't know if you were.
I'm sorry, going back to the Northview one. I mean, it does look like the deck and part of the yard and whatnot are the neighbors or the neighbor's deck and part of the yard are on county property. So what happens there with that line?
Well, we can ask them, well, I mean, the county, as long as it's county property, can ask them to move it. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's a rental. I mean, I wouldn't jump to that. I had Steve Nide go out in the two city lots and mark the corners. So actually both of them have some encroachment.
Okay.
Corey, again, what's the address on that?
The north view is 337 North View.
Okay.
It's actually a nice lot. You just
I mean,
have to.
it's flat, right?
No, it's steep, but it's not as steep as. I don't know what the grade is on that one.
Okay.
But it's on a corner, and the access on a driveway is challenging.
Is this correct, that what we're looking at here?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't think to pull these up. So.
And then can you show the part, so the property doesn't border the road, that's why an easement would be required?
Well, there's not enough room. It doesn't, you can't see it on here, but it's steep. It goes somewhat straight up.
Oh, from the road goes straight up.
From the road. So how you access, you can see most of the way the properties all have diagonal almost driveways.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So to get enough, to have enough room to come in, you would that's what Brad said. You probably would have to come in, crossing a little bit of, or he has talked to the city about a driveway that has less, or a garage that has less driveway. So again,
and so this is City Park, correct?
that is.
So again, we could consider after John comes back, just adding to the park.
Right.
Okay, what's the next one?
Okay,
what's
so
the killer deal that someone wants?
The third one was on Hill Road in Clinton, 22401 Hill Road.
Yeah, let's look at this one.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on here.
Thank you for whoever's, this is you, Dave, screen sharing.
Well, it's me fumbling my way along here.
Well,
hang on. Let me
Hillview?
Hill
Road in Clinton.
Oh, Hill Road.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Sorry, bear with me.
No, you're doing
Oh,
great.
I'm sorry, I didn't have that up.
Jory, could you give me the address for the first lot we talked about, please?
Yeah, 218 Westview.
Thank you.
You bet.
Oh, this is by Wallace Creek. Is that the one?
Yes.
Oh, we've talked about this before. Okay.
We have.
Okay, sorry, I'm finally getting back here. What was the address again, Dory?
22401 Hill Road.
Hill Road?
Did you want me to put it up on the screen?
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, if you got it already,
Somebody could.
I am there. Hopefully it should be popping up on your screen any second.
Thanks, Chris. I can't really talk and do that at the same time. So.
No problem.
So yeah, this, you can see where the road is on this, where the road should be and where the road is, are two different things. So what a person would need to do is either build the road to the property or get an, or try to get an easement maybe to cut through. So, and I had one party I thought was quite interested, but I think the cost of doing that became, too great. So I have one offer on that, and it happens to be the neighbor. The this market value of 65,000, the offer is $12,501. So here's some of the, we can talk about the lots more, but some of the questions is under Montana law, and the commission passed a resolution that the commission, if it's selling real property, is required to obtain market value. So clearly, I mean, that's one question, and John and I have talked about this and what we're going to do if they come in as they did. So the first question that, you know, he and I will revisit is what to do about that to meet Montana law as far as if the county decides to sell it. For instance, you know, the this lot we're looking at now, there really isn't, I don't see a benefit for the county to keeping it. So what do? Do we go back and, you know, talk to the appraiser and see if that was taken into account? He did mention the road, but it didn't seem to kind of come in offers. So that's one question. If
How much did it appraise for again, you said?
65,000. Yeah.
For an acre, okay, an acre with no access and no anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
Right.
a lot of money for a landlocked nothing.
Yeah.
So I guess we need to determine legally what our decision space is.
Right. I mean, there is a statute that deals with sale of tax deed properties that gives more flexibility. But John didn't feel, I mean, he's not committed to this, but the issue with that is they were supposed to be sold within 6 months after taking title, not 30 years later. So, so, you know, what is the best way to fit this in? And, you know, going to your, I mean, there's sort of that flip side of they are adjacent to city area. And so is that the city lots the way to go? Or, you know, there's certainly a lack of residential lots, and the more taken off the market, the less likely. I mean, the Rose offer certainly understand the risk of, but they may not be able to proceed. But so I really primarily wanted to bring this to your attention today, especially because of the, you know, discussions from last week, the emails from last week, to let you know. I mean, no more offers will be coming in. So when John gets back right away, we'll go through it and then have him issue some opinions on his recommendation to the commission on how to proceed. We'll try to get these taken care of. Brian's on the Brian and I talked about it too yesterday, just so he was kind of up to speed. I don't know, Brian, if you have anything to add from all that.
Brian?
I wouldn't dare tread on what John Hart is going to come up with for the commission.
I was ready for you to tread, Brian. But don't. I'm glad. We'll just, you know, 30 years, we can wait 2 weeks.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that Mr. Hart is mulling all of this over right now as we speak. So
I think he's running up a 52-degree slope.
Yeah.
And not even breathing hard.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I'll get it on for discussion next week. I mean, I think I'll probably put it on for another discussion. So you really, you know, just to give John time to, when he gets back, to.
That's a good idea.
Not be the first thing he has to do. I'm sure there'll be plenty of others. So any other questions?
So Dory, could you send Mr. Paoli a letter just letting him know that we're going to wait a couple weeks and talk with our attorney and nothing's going to happen in the near term?
I certainly will. I'll do that to the others too.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Dory.
Yeah, thanks.
Chris or Ann, anything on the legislative session that was and that still is on in some sense?
So commissioners, I think we have this on there just to kind of end the session here. Obviously, the session is over. It ended last week. couple of just quick things to update you on. As we talked about earlier, we're still waiting on 464, which is the gas tax repeal bill. So we're still waiting on that. We are working internally on how we're going to implement some of the new health bills and changes there. As you'll recall, there were some pretty dramatic changes in House Bill 151 and 257. And then we're working on putting together, Emmy has done an amazing job along with Sarah Bell and Allison and keeping track of all the bills that we've lobbied over the session. Sorry, my camera's like way off. And so we'll have some good statistical information to give you about those two. And then Anne, feel free to chime in here. She's on there somewhere, I know. I just can't see her anymore on my screen.
I'm here. I'm listening.
Did you have things to add?
I don't have things to add. We'll compile that list of our stats and report back.
Okay. More to come on that, and hopefully maybe it's a small sliver of a hope, but that the veto pen will be wielded on some of those outstanding pieces of legislation, like our fuel tax.
I just checked. It's no change from 5 minutes ago.
At this point, no change is good news, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, Dory.
Yeah, so
Dory, we can hardly hear you.
the Montana Media Act, I just thought, since you were talking about it, I am have a meeting with them tomorrow. It went fairly south.
Poorly, yes.
Yeah, I can't, I'm just shocked at how badly it went.
And
really amazed.
the email was just the governor just was not going to sign it. So it's really almost was not worth even the time, and it has a lot of awkward deadline dates on it that I haven't quite
Dory,
figured out.
It went from 10 to 12, and then the governor's not going to sign the 12.
No, he'll sign the 12, but it was at 260.
Yeah, I remember for unlimited to 260.
Unlimited to, know, so the 12 was the compromise to satisfy the governor.
So basically, Yellowstone continues to suck up all the air in the room.
And I'll be really surprised, but totally delighted if the folks who are interested in creating a soundstage on our lots are able to follow through, which would have really been a large chunk of money that I personally was hoping we could use towards affordable housing. But strange how all these things are connected.
So I'll stay in touch with them and see if they're continuing to look at other projects or what their plan is.
And I'll remember, right, this was because our friends in Ravalli County thought that the film industry was bringing illicit element to their community, so didn't want to see this increase.
Yeah, yet another sad state of affairs coming out of this legislature.
This is after last week I sat through a talk where the governor said he was going to do everything he could to make us more competitive with our neighboring states. I just don't see how this action fits in with that sentiment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To say that it was a frustrating session would be an understatement.
Yeah.
Yes. Good riddance to this.
Hopefully have a nice long hiatus before.
So moving from the legislature, anything new to report on the COVID front?
Nothing from me. Did just want to if you didn't see the stat yesterday, we crossed the 50% threshold for fully vaccinated individuals in Missoula County who are currently eligible. Of course, that's not 50% of our population, but 50% of those who are eligible. So that's good news as we continue to climb there. And of course, there are great efforts being put out by the foundation from Missoula County Public Schools towards increasing vaccinations for teenagers. And it looks like the Pfizer vaccine later this week or early next will be approved down to age 12. So making progress. So.
No, that is great news. Okay, anything else from anyone at this point? Well, it looks like we have a 9-minute break before we talk about the fairgrounds budget. So,
Very exciting.
all right.
Thank you.
Have a great day,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.